What is resource nationalism? What exactly is resource nationalism? This term refers to a movement where countries assert control over their natural resources. It is about prioritizing national ownership of resources like minerals, oil, gas, and water. The goal is to ensure that the benefits from these resources serve the local population and support national development, rather than benefiting foreign investors or multinational corporations. In Latin America, resource nationalism has a rich history. It often arises from the desire to reclaim control over valuable resources that have been exploited by foreign companies. This exploitation has sometimes come at the expense of local communities and indigenous peoples. The movement is a cultural and political assertion that natural resources belong first to the people of the nation. A prime example of resource nationalism in action is the Bolivian Gas Conflict. In Bolivia, natural gas reserves became a central issue for indigenous rights movements and national sovereignty claims. The conflict saw widespread protests demanding that the government take control of the gas industry. The aim was to ensure that profits would benefit Bolivians rather than foreign corporations. This struggle led to the nationalization of the gas sector under President Evo Morales in the early 2000s. This move was seen as a way to reclaim Bolivia's resources for its people and align with indigenous demands for greater control over their ancestral lands and resources. Today, resource nationalism in Latin America extends beyond traditional energy sources. It includes minerals critical for the global energy transition, such as lithium. Bolivia, rich in lithium reserves, has pursued policies to control lithium extraction and processing. The goal is to develop a domestic industry that excludes private and foreign companies. This reflects a modern form of resource nationalism focused on securing economic benefits from strategic resources. The movement is closely linked to indigenous rights. Many indigenous groups in Latin America see control over natural resources as essential to their cultural survival and political autonomy. Resource nationalism is intertwined with social justice struggles, where indigenous communities seek to protect their territories from external exploitation. They demand a fair share of the wealth generated from these resources. Resource nationalism can take various forms. One common approach is the nationalization of resource industries, where the state takes ownership or majority control. Another is increased regulation and taxation of foreign companies operating in resource sectors. Governments might also impose restrictions on exports of raw materials to encourage local processing and value addition. Additionally, there are legal and political efforts to ensure that resource revenues fund social programs and infrastructure benefiting local populations. While resource nationalism aims to empower nations and communities, it can create tensions with foreign investors. Governments often face challenges in balancing national interests with the need for investment. This dynamic can complicate international relations. Resource nationalism in Latin America reflects cultural identity, historical experience, and political will to control and benefit from natural resources. It is closely connected to indigenous rights movements and broader social demands for equity and sovereignty, as illustrated by the Bolivian gas conflict and ongoing efforts to manage critical minerals like lithium.